Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my must-draft mid-round running backs for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 running backs, one from round 5, one from round 6, one from round 7, and one from round 8 that I believe to be the must-draft running back target inside of those rounds. But before we get on into the video, I'd like to ask, if you do end up enjoying today's video and you end up having a great time, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, me and the guys at the Awesemo Fantasy Football YouTube channel post content every single day for you guys to enjoy, so please make sure, if you are new and you do end up enjoying, to make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, as well as if you enjoy, whether you are new or not, please make sure to hit that like button to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. So without further ado, let's get on into it. In round 5 at current average draft position, the running backs going in that range are Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne, and Josh Jacobs. To me, this is when the dead zone at running back begins to become very evident. Now, that's why a lot of my draft strategy in fantasy football is very focal on the point that I like to draft these running backs early and often in the draft, so that in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round, you can chill out and hammer out a bunch of wide receivers that I believe are coming at a very good value. But obviously, there are going to be some drafts where you go wide receiver early, you go tight end early, and now you're going to have to go ahead and select these mid-round running backs. So obviously, they are very key in your success for fantasy football as well. So in the 5th round, out of Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne, and Josh Jacobs, my must-draft mid-round running back is a guy that I have went full circle on. Running back of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Jacobs, ADP running back number 22, overall pick 58.4. While I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that they dismantled this whole offensive line in Las Vegas and brought in Kenyon Drake, the hate has honestly gone too far. If you're drafting Josh Jacobs ahead of the 5th round, honestly, there is a very big risk in doing that. Now, I say that drafting him ahead of his 5th round ADP is crazy because all the running backs that are going above him in that range have some pass catching ability, which I guess Derrick Henry technically doesn't, but all the other running backs ahead of him do. Josh Jacobs' pass catching ability isn't the greatest, but going into last season, John Gruden was really hyping up the fact that Josh Jacobs was going to be seeing a lot more receiving volume in this offense, and there really wasn't that big of a tick up from 2019. Now in 2021, they bring in Kenyon Drake, who is going to spell Josh Jacobs. But Josh Jacobs here is a very, very safe running back, because even if he's not going to be seeing an increased workload in the receiving game, which I believe to be virtually impossible, he is still the safest running back going in this range, because at least you know he is going to be on the field a lot of the time for this Las Vegas Raiders team, who in my opinion should be a little bit better this season. Last year, Josh Jacobs finished in 15 games as the running back 8 in PPR, 8.5 PPR, and the running back number 8 in standard, averaging 15.4 PPR points per game, 14.3 half PPR points per game, and 13.2 standard points per game. Meaning, from a points per game perspective, Josh Jacobs was the RB 15 in PPR, 13.5 PPR, and the running back number 11 in standard. So those numbers were obviously pretty solid on the season, but the fact that he did play in 15 out of 16 games elevated him much higher on a regular season finish compared to the points per game basis. But even on a points per game basis, Josh Jacobs was still a relatively solid running back. So why is he falling from potentially being a top 12 pick last year, maybe a 1st round pick, 2nd round pick in every single league, to falling into the 5th round? It is because of Kenyon Drake. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I think the hate has gone too far, because Josh Jacobs is still going to be very involved in this offense. And if the offense is better, like I believe they will be, then Josh Jacobs is going to have a very high chance to score a bunch of touchdowns. Now, again, I don't really love any of the running backs in this round. Miles Sanders, I am completely out on. Travis Etienne, the same thing goes there. So Josh Jacobs is the lesser of the 3 evils inside of this round. Last year, Josh Jacobs had a grand total of 273 carries, ranking 3rd at running back, and I would not be surprised if that number was very similar, even with Kenyon Drake there. 1,064 rushing yards, 8th highest at the running back position, 45 targets for 33 receptions, 238 receiving yards, and 12 total touchdowns, 4th highest at the running back position. So that 45 target number, I doubt it's going to take a complete and utter dive off of a cliff or something. But with Drake there, and if Drake is healthy, there is virtually no room to increase that to 55, 60, 65 targets, which could move Josh Jacobs to being an elite running back in fantasy football. While I don't think that Kenyon Drake necessarily has some huge standalone value in this offense, he is still the best backup running back that Josh Jacobs has played with. And John Gruden got on his phone, called up Kenyon Drake, and got him there in Las Vegas. He wanted him. I don't believe that Gruden really believes too heavily in Josh Jacobs' pass catching ability. But again, you look at last year, 65 red zone touches, 4.3 per game, ranking second at running back. He is still going to be getting those chances. Kenyon Drake is not some type of elite red zone running back. So even while I'm not in love with Josh Jacobs, to me, he is still the best and the safest running back going inside of the 5th round. But before we get on into the 6th round of average draft position at the running back position, I would like to let you guys know that today's show is being brought to you guys by our brand new podcast, Betting You. Who will win the Heisman? Can Georgia dethrone Alabama? Which MAC teams should you be putting your money on? These questions and more are answered every single Wednesday with Matt Kajowski and Ben Ross as they talk all things college football betting. We have episodes available now on nearly every single podcast platform, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So go ahead and check out Betting You now again on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Every single Wednesday, there is a new podcast. So please make sure that you guys check that out. Back into it. Round number 6 ADP right now at the running back position. Mike Davis, Myles Gaskin, Kareem Hunt, and Javonte Williams. 2 of these running backs I really like. 1 of these running backs I just feel iffy on, right? Like, I'll take them, but it's not going to get me super excited when I make that pick. And the other running back, I am running to the hills away from. So the 2 running backs that I really like are Gaskin and Davis. The running back that I'm just with is Kareem Hunt. The running back I don't like is Javonte Williams. So I had to have this huge discussion in my own brain as to which running back I like more. And I like both of these guys a lot. And I talked about Myles Gaskin on my YouTube channel yesterday. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Mike Davis today. Mike Davis, current ADP running back number 23 off the board. Shout out to Michael Jordan. Overall ADP 61.8, down 4.56 slots on the week. Now, I understand the biggest argument against Mike Davis is that he's 28 years old and he's been in the league since 2015. This is the first time he's ever done something was in 2020. And that's a decent argument. But the argument I will make against that, my retort, I believe is the word there, is that Mike Davis is the by far and away best running back on this team. He is going to be a workhorse. None of the running backs behind him are anywhere near as skilled as Mike Davis. Mike Davis is also a very talented pass-catching running back that is going to be utilized heavily on an Atlanta Falcons team that likes to throw the ball, and Matt Ryan likes to throw the ball to the running back, which you can see from the past with Devontae Freeman. Last year, everyone was riding Todd Gurley's Johnson to try to assert him as being a top 3, top 4 round pick out. He has the potential to be a top 12 running back. And Todd Gurley was getting this hype with a knee that has arthritis in it, with a knee that we knew was fucked up. And people were still hyping up Todd Gurley in the 4th round, the 3rd round. Mike Davis going in the 6th round with 0 injury concern. And in my opinion, at this point in their career, Mike Davis is the better running back. Mike Davis last year tore it up in Carolina when Christian McCaffrey got hurt. He looked like Christian McCaffrey, but not really, obviously, because it's impossible to fill the role that a guy like Christian McCaffrey leaves in the offense. Christian McCaffrey is, in my opinion, the best all-around running back in the NFL. So it's going to be hard for some guy that's 28 years old like Mike Davis to fill that role, and he did quite the good job being a top 12 running back basically every single week that Christian McCaffrey was hurt. So I personally believe that while this is a different team in Atlanta, he is going to be by far and away the best running back in this backfield. So just believe in the volume. The amount of volume Mike Davis gets alone will be worth this top 6 round pick, and the other running backs going around him are nowhere near as safe as Mike Davis. I prefer Mike Davis by far and away to Josh Jacobs, who we just talked about. In 15 games, he finished as the running back 12 in PPR, 15.5 PPR in the RB, 18 in standard, averaging 13.8 PPR points per game, 11.8 standard points per game, and 9.8 standard points per game. From a points per game perspective, he was the running back 21 in PPR, 27.5 PPR, and the RB 30 in standard. But what you have to understand for a points per game perspective is a couple of those games, 3 of those games were with Christian McCaffrey. So that's going to throw his points per game perspective numbers out or down because, you know, when McCaffrey's in there, McCaffrey scores 30 points. Mike Davis stands no chance in the offense when Christian McCaffrey is there. But in Atlanta, there is no Christian McCaffrey. There is no one that is anywhere near as skilled as Mike Davis. So for that reason alone, I'm loving Mike Davis. Last year, 165 carries, 20th at running back, 642 rushing yards. He also had 70 targets, 5th at running back, 59 receptions, 4th at running back, 373 receiving yards, 9th at running back, and 8 total touchdowns, 19th at running back. I don't give a fuck that this guy is as old as he is. He is 28 years old right now. 28 years old, and people continue to point at that. Now, I understand. Being a running back and being old is much different than a quarterback being old. And I'm not saying that Mike Davis is anywhere near the player that Tom Brady is, but understand that the later on we get into the years, it seems like guys can play for way longer than they used to. Mike Davis barely has any fucking tread on the tires, which is something people bring up. Oh, Derrick Henry, he's rushed so much. He's got, how much more can he keep going? Mike Davis is basically like a brand new 2021 car. He doesn't have much tread on the tires at all. Last year was the only time he's really had a big workload. So even at the age of 28, to me, he's going to be good. He's going to be healthy again. Anyone can get hurt. Any of these running backs can get hurt, and it will screw over your team. But there's nothing in the past that points to Mike Davis being predisposed to any type of injury. I love Mike Davis here inside of the 6th round. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of these running backs. Do you like Jacobs? Do you like Mike Davis? And do you like the next 2 running backs we are going to be talking about? Next up, in round number 7, we only have 2 running backs to choose based upon current average draft position. That's Trey Sermon of the San Francisco 49ers and Chase Edmonds of the Arizona Cardinals. While I don't love any of these running backs, I do really like the upside that Trey Sermon presents for the San Francisco 49ers ADP running back number 27. Now, I've seen drafts where he's going in the 5th, the 6th round, and at that point, that's crazy, but again, we're focusing on the ADP where he's going right now, which is round 7, which I like. Trey Sermon currently coming off the board as running back number 27, overall pick 73.6 up plus 1.33 slots on the week. Trey Sermon is in what I will describe as the most confusing running back by committee on earth. I say this because they're going to use Mostert, they're going to use Sermon, they're going to use the water boy, they're going to let Trey Lance fucking play running back, they're going to let the fullback touch the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Shanahan strapped on the pads and ran the ball himself, because this man doesn't really believe in the workhorse running back, but what he does believe in is the hot hand approach, meaning if you're playing well, if you're playing good, if you're the guy, then you are going to get force-fed the ball. But if you're not that guy, if you're playing like shit, then he just looks right past you. Hey, you pal off the bench, you get in the game. That's what he does. So, while I don't think Trey Sermon will be the guy at the beginning of the season, I believe that Raheem Mostert will get the first licks in this offense, as he is a veteran in the NFL. But I believe Trey Sermon is the more talented back. The question at hand is, how long is it going to take for Trey Sermon to become that guy? Could it be all season? He never becomes the guy, but in my opinion, at some point, he will get the chance, and if he is able to take over, he could really be dangerous in fantasy football with how much the 49ers run, plus the fact is that Trey Lance should eventually take over. Guessing that is a huge question mark, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not a bad quarterback. He's just an okay quarterback, and when you're an okay quarterback on the 49ers, you will look way better because the team is just so good around you. So maybe we don't see Trey Lance, but if we see Trey Lance, I expect this team to be so run heavy, because that helps out Trey Lance's skill set. So that will elevate all the other running backs as well and make Trey Sermon an even more valuable asset. Last year at The Ohio State University at 22 years old, Sermon played in 8 games, running 116 times for 870 rushing yards, 7.5 yards per carry. He also had 12 receptions on 19 targets for 4 touchdowns. In 2019, in 10 games, he had 54 rushes, 385 rushing yards, 7.1 yards per carry, 5 total touchdowns, I should say, 8 receptions, 12 targets, 71 receiving yards. So, this is not a guy that's really been a workhorse back at the college level, but he's still getting a lot of touches, and he was very good at The Ohio State University and looked pretty good throughout the college football playoffs. So, Trey Sermon, again, the situation is a little bit dicey, but every single running back going past this point from round 7 on, the situation is very confusing. So with that said, I think that buying into this 49ers backfield is one of the best decisions you can make in the draft, because there's probably a 50-50 shot that every week one of these motherfuckers is a top 12 running back. So I'll happily take the shot here in the 7th round on running back of the San Francisco 49ers, Trey Sermon. But before we get on into the 3 running backs inside of round 8, I would like to let you guys know that we have a brand new YouTube channel for sports betting. If you love what we do on the DFS channel, you love what we do here on the Fantasy Football channel, then you are going to want to subscribe to the Awesemo Odds channel. You can find the link in the description of this video. So go ahead, subscribe, and turn those notifications on and enjoy what we have in store for sports betting. If you want to check out our other free content, you can find our fantasy football rankings in front of the paywall on the Awesemo.com fantasy football tab. My rankings are on there as well. And for sports betting, you can go ahead and check out the Awesemo Odds tab for access to the Odds Shopper and our MLB betting tools, which include our sports betting model and the player prop tool. So make sure you go ahead and check out the Awesemo Odds channel, link down below in the description. Back on into it. Running backs in the round 8 of average draft position: Damian Harris, Michael Carter, and Raheem Mostert. I have a very strong feeling about Michael Carter, so he's my pick here. Michael Carter, ADP running back, 30 off the board, overall pick 85.8, up 6.21 slots on the week. The reason why I like Michael Carter is because I don't love the Jets. I don't love it, but I do think they're going to be a lot better without Adam Gase there, with Salah as the head coach. And I just really believe in the fact that Michael Carter is the best running back on this team. I believe probably that Tevin Coleman will be the starter. Probably Tevin Coleman gets the go-ahead to be the guy the first couple of weeks of the season. But Michael Carter is going to stomp all over the grave of Tevin Coleman and become the starting guy on this team. And I believe that with his pass-catching prowess in New York for the Jets, Michael Carter has the potential to be really good for fantasy and is coming off the board as RB number 30. He should easily be a higher round pick than this, and you know, I'm feeling it here inside the 8th round with New York Jets running back Mike Davis, formerly of North Carolina. 21 years old, his senior season last year, 11 games, 156 rushing attempts, 1,245 rushing yards, 8.0 yards per carry, 11 total touchdowns, 25 receptions on 30 targets, 267 receiving yards, 8.4% target share in the offense. 2019, his junior year, that would be 13 games, 177 rushes, 1,003 rushing yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, 21 receptions on 25 targets, 154 receiving yards. This is all with Javonte Williams, who got drafted earlier on in the draft in the 2nd round to the Denver Broncos, being there to kind of fuck over the value that Michael Carter had. So Michael Carter falls in the draft into the 4th round in the NFL draft. Now he's falling in the 8th round of fantasy football drafts. And you better believe that this man is a way better running back than Tevin Coleman. And while the Jets aren't necessarily going to be this run-heavy system, Michael Carter will still have value because he's going to be very much on the field in these pass-catching scenarios. So I like Michael Carter a lot. I understand the downside that he is on the Jets, but there's also the upside that they do look to run the ball, and that rookie quarterbacks typically like to check down the ball, and that's what Zach Wilson is. So I believe heavily in Michael Carter. I also like Damian Harris a lot for the New England Patriots, but I think Michael Carter deserves a lot more shine, so I'll continue to talk him up. I doubt I can move his average draft position, but if you guys keep drafting him, it'll keep going up. Just a month ago, his ADP was 94 overall. Now it's 86 overall, so it is continuing to move up, and the hype train's going to keep on chugging as all the reports out of training camp are pointing to how Michael Carter is the best, by far and away, running back for the New York Football Jets. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much. Make sure if you did end up enjoying it, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below on the Awesemo Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at NotoriousFNTSY, at NotoriousFNTSY. I love you guys so much. Make sure you have a great rest of your guys' day. And there will be another video shortly after this with Lofty and Matt. So see you guys later. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Stay safe as always. Goodbye.